Welcome back. Revealed how Osinbajo fought DSS over Showore's detention. So I'm going to read this article. There's an article that was posted on opinionnigeria.com, and it reads, sometime, and I quote, sometime in 2019 at the height of Showore's detention by the Buhari government and the DSS refusal to obey a court order for his release, I booked an appointment with the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. I was aware of the previous efforts made by VP Osinbajo to get the DSS to comply, which almost led to a face-off with the security agency. A new book by veteran journalist Richard Akinnola
Yes, Akinnola.
has revealed how former Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo clashed with the Department of State Services DSS over the agency's refusal to comply with the court order for the release of activist Omoyele Sowore during the Muhammadu Buhari administration. In the book titled "I Write What I Like," Akinnola recounted, sometime in 2019 at the height of okay, this is just the same quote. I'm going to jump to the next quote here. Say, according to Akinnola, Osinbajo had expressed frustration at the DSS defiance. And I quote, Osinbajo said he had a job to go back to after leaving office, and he would not be around when such an order was being flouted. The DSS had told him that there could not be two presidents, a veiled reference to how Osinbajo, as acting president in 2018, sacked Lawal Daura as DG of DSS. The author revealed that on the same day he visited Osinbajo, further pressure was mounted on the government and Sowore was released. Beyond advocacy, and I quote, beyond advocacy, I sometimes explored back channels to get things done, like in the case of the then detained Shiite leader El Zakzaki, who was eventually granted bail through his method, Akinnola added. The 198-page book, which compiles some of Akinnola's Facebook posts between 2017 and 2025 across 20 chapters, will be unveiled on Saturday, September 13 at the Airport Hotel. All right, so it's a book promo, but do you know who this person is? Richard Akinnola?
He's a well-known Nigerian journalist. And,
Okay.
Yeah, he's accomplished, and he's a very good pro stylist. One of the best.
Okay.
One of the best journalistic ends to have ever come out of Africa. So I doff my hat for him, and I congratulate him on the writing of the book. And when it eventually hits the book stands, we will do our best to grab a copy, read through, and digest the content. But the disclosure is not going to be a surprise to anybody, considering the fact that some of us have been involved in the tactics that have been so described there. We do not just make sure that we write. We do not make sure that we report. We also make sure that we get proactive. And I was listening to the publisher of Oriwuson, a major community newspaper. I do not know if it's the first community newspaper in Nigeria, but it's celebrating its first 40 years now. And the publisher was talking of the place of the journalist, the news publisher, and it has been that of immense power and influence. And I agree with that, absolutely. And if anybody is going to doubt the place of a journalist in history, they just, or in contemporary situations for that matter, they need to just go and study the life of the man that is known as the father of journalism and one of the founding fathers of the United States of America, Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine with his extensive works. But let me just give you a glimpse into what Thomas Paine constitutes. I mean, not just being a pamphleteer, not just being a journalist. Thomas Paine did so much single-handedly, writing even when the morale of the U.S. military was so down um, during the years of independence. Through his writing, some people would describe him as an hack. He was more than that. He was a concertizer. He was somebody that could stir a sleeping rock. So, through his powerful reportage, through his powerful articles, essays, and what have you, he was able to really encourage and embolden the U.S. military, the American military, to hang through. But when people want to be mischievous, they look at the journalist as a blackmailer, which is quite unfortunate. No journalist blackmails anybody. They just want to speak truth to power beyond having to report accurately in a scientific and empirical way. But the sense of appreciation of the public, whether you are looking at the time, in the Bible that they were described as scribes that would be in company of Sadducees and Pharisees to consistently torment Jesus Christ with their probes and questions. They were described as scribes in the Bible. All right? So when you bring that to the present day world and their influence, not many people loved Thomas Paine in those days, particularly when he started investigating the shenanigans and underhand tactics of people like George Washington and politicians of the time. Somebody that was so mighty in the use of the pen and the ink. When he died, and everybody in America was doffing the hat for him as a practicing journalist. The only person that I have found to be a type of Thomas Paine in Nigeria was the late Dr. Stanley McCable. Anytime I was with him, especially when he became special senior assistant to President Olusegun Obasanjo, in charge of special duties. Anytime I was with him, I was always using him as a proxy to get into the workings of the mind of Olusegun Obasanjo. What I noticed about him, apart from the fact that he was a chain smoker and somebody who drank good liquor, the inspiration that gave to him, and I was looking at the character of Thomas Paine through Dr. Stanley McCable, one of the founding editors of the Ghanaian newspaper in Nigeria. And like it's been said in the biography of Thomas Paine, that whenever he was down, just a glass of wine or good liquor will stir him up, writing profusely and brilliantly. So people like Mr. Richard Akinnola, using back channel, I'm not saying that he's like that. I'm just comparing between the influence wielded by the average journalist who has a sense of direction and purpose, not the ones that will become what's it called? Perpetual occupiers of doing nothing at the press centers all over, NUJ press centers all over Nigeria, not those type, the ones they call PCPC. No, I'm not talking of those ones. The ones that really know their audience, and then they use that kind of influence and power to serve the interests of the citizenry, the country, and the constitution of the country. So if this did happen under Muhammadu Buhari, then you will see that the forces against Omoyele Sowore or the then vice president himself, Dr. or Professor Yemi Osinbajo, will not just be mere persons in uniform or carrying what's it called, anonymity within the law enforcement agencies of Nigeria. It's about an entrenched interest an abiding situation which borders on trying not to respect some people they have marked out in government as being somebody who will not serve the interests of the number one citizen. But would it not be seen as a kind of paradox, if not irony, that vice presidents or deputy governors are supposed to enjoy joint tickets with whoever is the number one on the ticket, with whoever is running for the president, is running as president. The vice president has a joint ticket with the number one. And when the number one is not there and the vice president or the deputy governor is acting in place of the number one, so why would somebody be so mischievous to come up with that kind of reaction that there can't be two presidents? Who is pretending, or who is trying to usurp the place of the president in this situation? So people can be overzealous, that is, law enforcement agents. Do not let us misunderstand what I'm saying here. We commend them. We love them for what they do, keeping the security of the nation going, or securing whoever occupies the highest office in the land. However, that thing they do, trying to undermine the instructions or constructive advice from the office of the number two, especially when he is not trying to bifurcate the authority of number one, that is the president. I can always look at that as being mischievous and acting inappropriately. Finally, on this subject, there were so many obvious struggles, obvious orders for Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, as he then was, that we knew, but to get a handle on it, and it's not just Yemi Osinbajo's problem alone. Yes, Richard Akinnola was fortunate to have access to him. Whether you wanted to have sex Yemi Osinbajo through his media aide, Laolu Akonde, who was one of us in the United States there, or through other channels, it was not really difficult. It was not really easy to get through to Yemi Osinbajo as vice president. Some people did, but from our own stable, there were times we tried to reach him, and we were always dealt out. So, and there were things we had wanted to contribute, because we believe Nigeria is the land of our birth. Like I've always encouraged everybody in the diaspora, there is one thing: the influence of Jewish people in the diaspora. I have given an insight into how the then nuclear physicist who invented the atomic bomb or nuclear bomb, whichever way you want to call it, through the Manhattan Project, Albert Einstein, the man who was chiefly known for the law of relativism in physics and science generally. He was elected the first honorary president of the state of Israel in 1947. He never visited that country. He lived in America. But till today, you look at the leverage coming from Israelis in the diaspora, Jewish people in the diaspora. You cannot really push them aside. That is what I wish for Nigerians in the diaspora as well. But look at them, the way people in Nigeria talk about those of us in the diaspora as if we do not have a root, as if we do not, we were not born there before acquiring citizenship of other countries. That is not good enough. But to the main subject, when Mr. Richard Akinnola's book is out, that is the book you said is titled, I Write What I Like.
I write what I like.
That in itself, that title itself would be debated, because you can write what you like in journalism. Maybe as an opinion writer, yes, it is a well-known fact that in journalism, facts are sacred. You can't manufacture those. Facts are sacred, but comments or opinions are
Commentary,
free. So,
opinions.
yes, all those. But you also want to be a journalistic commentator. You must be well informed. No wonder people like Dr. Ruben Abati have won several prizes in respect of informed commentary. So, yes,
All
we
right.
look forward to seeing the book when it's finally unveiled. Thank you so much.
That's good. That's good. I'm sure we'll appreciate this.
Yeah, but good to
stumble
know
the
that
story.
some people really cared about Omoyele Sowore. You know, last week I spoke of the hypocrisy of the Nigerian politicians, Nigerian leaders, the Nigerian institution. They could hail a South African activist, the leader
Right.
of the minority party in South Africa that was visiting Nigeria, who spoke at NBA conference last week. But Sowore does virtually everything that guy does in South Africa. They could celebrate the guy from South Africa, but they deride Sowore all the time. Thank you, Ola.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think there's much to say. Maybe another day. Nigerians don't necessarily appreciate people that fight for them.
They don't. They do not. If they don't reward them with some, if they don't reward them with arrest and having to inject them with killer substances in prison, they will frame them up, and they would even be joyous when foreign countries assist them to launch after them, and they say they send them to prison.
I think it's because a lot of these issues are. People are divided on which side they fall on. So it's a strong push.
Such divisions among humans is an existential thing, because we can't all maintain unipolar opinions. So opinions would always differ. Thank you, Ola.
Thank you. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, follow, join the conversations. Let's move on to some other trendy stories around the world. We'll be right back.